Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Players Championship, a two-day online tournament on HorseTourneys.com, where the winner will get just over $153,000 when it's all said and done. My name is Bill Downs, your host, and I'm joined by NHC Hall of Famer Chris Larmey. Chris, how are you?
Doing great. Really, really excited about the contest. Couldn't be a better weekend of racing. Great racing across the country, especially tomorrow with all the big Derby preps and all this money on the line in the contest with a really interesting format. So I'm really looking forward to it. You and I are going to have some fun covering this.
Yes, this is the second leg of the Tourney Triple on HorseTourneys.com. The first leg was the FloCal Face-Off, and that was a lot more mandatory races, if you will, where this contest is completely different. The players choose what races. They got to choose 15 optional races on each day from 30 contest races. And so there's strategy involved in what races you're going to take, strategy involved in obviously what horses you're going to take. And there's a lot of different ways to play it, Chris, right?
Yeah, I mean, that race selection adds a whole new dimension. You have to decide which races you want to tackle. And like you said, obviously, which horses you're going to play, especially as we get near the end of the day here, as we are in this day one, where there's day money on the line, over $10,000 to the winner. And, how many of those players are going to have picks for all these three remaining races? If they don't, which of these races do they choose? Do they save one for that last race so that at least they have a shot at, maybe coming away with the day money after day one? All that comes into play. And tomorrow it's just magnified because the big money's on the line.
Yeah, speaking of big money, there is a gentleman that is eligible for a $1 million bonus if he takes down this tournament. That's because there's bonuses. If you win 2 out of the 3 tournaments in the Tourney Triple, you get a $1 million bonus. And then if you sweep all 3, besides taking home 6-figure checks throughout, you'll get a $2 million bonus on top of that. And David Wolf, who won the FloCal Face-Off earlier this year, he is eligible for the $1 million bonus, and he's not that far off the lead, Chris. He is currently in 14th place with $91.30. The leader right now is Mark Racenstein with $122.56. Paul Sherman, who is just like a tournament god, is right behind Mark in second. Clint Littlejohn third. Bruce D'Agostini is in fourth, and Dylan Donnelly's got 2 in the top 10 right now, and that's interesting. And a lot of familiar names, so some big names in the tournament scene are in this tournament, and they're doing quite well, including a guy I know quite well, Paul Matisse.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really good contest players and some interesting stories, like you said. I mean, if we could get the bonus baby in contention on that second day, that will be exciting with $1 million bonus on the line. So we'll be following David Wolf closely. And you mentioned Paul Sherman right near the top, and Dylan Donnelly with 2 entries, place 6 and 7. That's a lot of firepower. So should be real exciting at the end of day one. And, tomorrow with the big money on the line, that $150,000 is great, but wow, $1 million bonus, that would be something if somehow David could pull that off.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Before we get to start handicapping, taking a look at some of the contenders in race number 7, want to go over, I mentioned that it's the contest players have to choose from 30 races each afternoon, and they've got to choose 15 of those races. They put a $2 mythical win in place on that particular horse, and the earnings, as you see, is what they've done so far from their winning picks, and obviously they can come in second as well. The contest tracks today was races 2 through 10 from Keeneland, races 4 through 9 from Gulfstream Park down in South Florida. Aqueduct, races 3 through 8 in New York. And the entire card from Santa Anita, races 1 through 9. And we'll be covering the last 3 races on that Santa Anita card, which are the 3 last races in day number 1. One other, I guess, little thing to mention is the day money. Day money over $10,000 for first place. And right now, Mark has a small lead over Paul Sherman. Second place is $6,379. Third is $3,189. And fourth is $1,063. So we'll talk about that as we get closer and closer to the last race. But I think we should probably take a look at what's going on at Santa Anita. They're in the walking ring for race number 7, and we've got a field of 10 to go 6 furlongs on the turf. It looks like the favoritism is going to go between the 7 Isabel Ludlow and the 10 Bold Choice. And both horses, they certainly figure, but for contest purposes, unless I guess if you're Paul Sherman trying to get day money, I don't know if, how many contest players will be going for that unless they just have some strong opinion. What are your thoughts, Chris, on taking a favorite in an all optional format?
Well, at this point, it's kind of all mandatory, right? We're down to 3 races.
Yeah.
If you've got 3 picks, you're going to play one in every race. Like, that's one thing we want to point out. Mark on top only has 1 remaining pick. So
Right.
He's probably going to save that for that last race. So he has a chance, depending on what happens, to still win, that day money. So Paul in second has 3. So he gets to play every race. And I know Paul is one player who won't hesitate to play a horse he likes, even at a small price. So
Yep.
If he likes one of those favorites in here, I can assure you he'll pick that, because that will be enough to put him in the lead, and he knows how important that is, at the end, to be on top. So, in his position, if he feels strongly about one of those 2, and for me, Bold Choice looks much better than Isabel Ludlow. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him all over Bold Choice, and maybe some of the others near the top might take a short price, but most everybody in a race like this is probably going to look towards a bigger price somewhere else.
Yeah, so we got 3 races remaining. This is a maiden race, 6 furlongs on the turf. The 8th race is an allowance optional claiming, 2 other than allowance optional claiming. And then the 9th race is for California breds, going a mile on the turf, and that has a pretty big field. And if anyone's got a selection remaining, and pretty much everyone kind of keeps one bullet in their holster for the last race, especially when it's a big field. That's going to be the race where all the action comes in. But yes, there is certainly an advantage for Paul Sherman, Bruce and Jeff, and Dylan Donnelly, who all have their 3 remaining plays on the card. But we mentioned a couple of the favorites, 7 Isabel Ludlow and the 10 Bold Choice. You like the 10 Bold Choice more than the 7 Isabel Ludlow. Bold Choice has had the most chances in the field, 10 career starts. Didn't have the best trip 2 starts ago in her last race on the turf. Is that one of the factors that you took a look at
had a really tough trip.
Yeah,
actually had a tough trip in that last race.
Yep.
And has some numbers that really just lay over this field unless one of the more lightly raced horses really jumps up. And that they're playing Isabel Ludlow as to improve, but Bold Choice from a number standpoint has already run 2 or 3 races that would typically win a race like this. And the form's a little bit buried. So, to me, it should be a heavy favorite, and it's, vying for favoritism. So, I like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see someone like Paul Sherman on Bold Choice, or if he likes Isabel Ludlow on that horse. I don't think he's going to let price stop him if he feels strongly. But I think most of the players are going to shop for a little better price, beyond those 2.
And we'll talk about a couple of those fillies in just a moment. But Isabel Ludlow stumbled at the start last time out. Watched the race back. She went off as the beaten favorite. It was her own fault, the stumble, and she rallied okay for second. The winner of that race was like a 20-1 long shot. They put the blinkers on. Trainer Steve Miotti in this race, and that's a decent angle for Miotti when putting the blinkers on. But Bold Choice, like you said, had a really, really tough trip in her 2 starts ago, and didn't have the best trip either last time out. But let's talk about a few others in this race. Just glancing at the prices, the 3-horse Magic Game I thought was interesting, going from a route to a sprint, a couple of second-place finishes in turf sprints. Comes off of a bit of a layoff, and that's I guess the big question mark with this filly. But she's run some decent races, though the numbers are not popping off the page or anything.
No, she's actually run faster than the favorite. Mm-hmm. She haven't really any progression, though. I usually like to see horses get better, and with 7 starts, she's really not running any faster in her 7th start than she did in her first. But maybe there was some little nagging issue that was preventing her from improving, and she's had the time off. She could come back fresh, and that might be just what she needed. So not impossible, but also not a great price right now. I'm looking at what that current price is. It's not too bad, 5-1, but I'd probably look for somebody else at a bigger price beyond that one.
A little bit of a question mark for me is the 4-horse Love Our Family, currently on the board at 6-1 for trainer Eddie Truman, who's looking for a victory here at Santa Anita. Been in a lot of turf route races in her career. 3 of the 4 races are decent, pressing the pace in a lot of those starts. How do you factor any type of horse that goes from a route to a sprint, and one that has been pressing the pace in those route races?
I usually see that as a positive. And this horse, the sprints weren't bad. I'm not sure why they've been insisting on routing her. So I think the cutback makes a lot of sense and could result in an improved performance. So again, that one, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a better race out of that horse as well. Although 6-1 again is not super exciting, but in the contest, that would be a great score if you get 6-1. From a betting standpoint, I kind of hesitate, but in the contest, if they like that horse, sure.
I thought the 8-horse at a big price, the 8 Square Fun, came off a very long layoff for trainer Doug O'Neill in an open maiden claiming for 50 race. Didn't get off to the best start in the world, and then kind of got put in tight by outside rivals, and then faded in the stretch and finished 10th. But now in versus Calbreds once again, and I think she can get to the front end now. Getting to the lead and actually winning the race are 2 different things. But Square Fun for O'Neill, I thought, might be an interesting horse or filly to use at a big price at 19-1. You give her any chance at all, Chris?
Yeah, I think that's the play for me. I really like horses second off a layoff, especially off a long layoff. That showed a little bit of talent, probably, certainly enough talent to win a race like this. So, and has some tactical speed and in a race where there's not a whole lot of speed, and it seems like being forwardly placed will be an advantage. And given the price, to me, that's kind of an obvious. A bet, but more obvious for a contest play. So I would expect to see quite a few 8s on that leaderboard when we refresh it once the race starts.
All right. Any others in here that, I was kind of going through? Well, let's mention the 1-horse Warrior Lady is coming off the very long layoff for trainer Pete Erden. Does have an in the money finish in a turf sprint. What do you give her in terms of chances? Anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a really long layoff. That's the problem. I mean, 2 years is a long time, but if the horse is ready, and it had like a 59 and change work, so, it might have improved a lot. It developed a lot from being a young 3-year-old to a 5-year-old. Now it's a fully mature horse, or filly. And so I wouldn't be shocked if it has a better race in it. Just a long layoff. You definitely want a price on a horse like that. And, it's 10-1, so not impossible.
And then I guess we'll mention the 6 Timely Luck, who's drifting up in the odds for Sean McCarthy. a little bit of a layoff here, off since early February. Showed him, a little bit improved early speed last time out. Wasn't the biggest field in the world, but she would probably have to improve quite a bit to be a factor in here. Is my opinion. Is that yours?
Yeah, but the thing I like about her is there's a license to improve. I mean, she had 2 starts. One was on dirt and one was a turf route. So, now she sprints on the turf. That's this kind of horse that could really pop a much better race. So I see a lot of potential upside. You never know, but I'm more inclined in a race like this to go with a horse like that has a lot of unknowns and potential over horses that have tried a lot, like the horse Magic Game, 7 or 8 starts and really hasn't improved. So I would kind of lean towards that horse, Timely Luck, over most of the others we talked about, except for the 8-horse Square Fun.
As the horses making their way to the gate for race number 7, we'll be covering races 7, 8, and 9 here on the Players Championship webcast. Everyone playing on HorseTourneys.com, going for the big prize of $153,000 for first place. This is just day 1 of a 2-day online tournament, 15 optional races each and every day, where you choose from 30 designated races. Favorite is the 7 Isabel Ludlow. Bold Choice is a strong second choice. Last I glanced was at 5-2, and then we'll see what happens here. Both Chris and I think an interesting long shot. It's the 8-horse Square Fun, and that would be would shake up the leaderboard big time if that happened. And we're kind of expecting some people to take a shot on her if they've got the bullets left here in this race. So looks like about one more left to load on the outside. Bold Choice for trainer Steve Knapp, and then looks like we'll be ready for a start here. And they're off. Looks like a decent start, as we'll update the selections and see what everyone picked. Paul Sherman going with the 1-horse Warrior Lady, but it's the 5-horse, a first-time starter. Long May She Reign for Mark Glatt with Drayden Van Dyke, big price at 12-1 on the lead. And the heirs, the 8-horse Square Fun. I thought she'd make the front end, but now she's doing the dirty work.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the first timers, so that's always, they're always dangerous in these kind of races, and this one looks like she's got some run. So, but our 8 horses run a pretty good race there. And let's see who's that in second. The 4.
The 4. Love
Dylan
Our
Donnelly.
Family.
Yeah. Dylan Donnelly's on that one at 7-1. But that first time starter looks like it was ready to roll right at first asking.
Yeah.
This is at a race for second now, which can be really important here, the second place money. We've got the 3-horse moving up. Nobody in the top 10 had that one, but it looks like Stephen Gravina had that one in the place pool. But I don't see anybody on the 5 until you get down to 16th place. So
okay,
at 7-1. That'll move that person way up the board, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. It got bet down right at the end, huh?
Yeah, I think it ended up 7-1. Yep, 7-1.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, yeah. Remember the late odds change and how it had a giant impact on.
Oh, no. It looks like 12-1 there. The 5.
Oh, on the 5. Okay. On the 4. That's right. So 12-1 on the 5. Yeah. So that's a nice price.
Yeah, that's going to get at least 26 and a good place price as well.
That might be enough to put that player into the lead.
I think so.
Priola. Yeah.
I think Russell's going to be on the engine here with 2 races to go on day 1. And you mentioned Magic Game. Stefan Gravina or Stephen used the 3-horse Magic Game, and will get a nice place price even at 5-1 with the big long shot prevailing. So and there's a lot of positions that he could jump. There was only about $4 between 7th and 11th, so that will help us Mr. Gravina quite a bit, moving up into the top 10. But looks like Russell Priola is going to be our leader when it's all said and done. A first-time starter. Drayden Van Dyke has had a tough meets, Chris, at Santa Anita, and gets on a very live first-time starter for Mark Glatt, and a daughter of Stanford, I think. Not really known as great turf, but certainly was meant to run big today, and took the lead out of the gate, and that was it. $27 to win and $13 to play, so $40 for Russell, which will catapult him to the lead if my math is correct. And there's the good place price for the people that played Magic Game at $6.60. So let's see. I know the Horse Tourneys leaderboard updates quite rapidly, and there it is. Russell Priola is in the lead, $130.32. Mark Racenstein is second, $122.56. Paul Sherman right behind in third, $121.56. Clint Littlejohn fourth, and Michael is in fifth, and Bruce D'Agostini is in sixth, $112.62. And also take a look at in the parentheses, that's how many picks each player has left remaining in this day number one. And Paul Sherman has an advantage there because he's got two, where Russell and Mark both got one apiece. But this next race is the allowance optional claiming race. It's a strong quality race, but it is just it's a short field of six. But so Paul can kind of do what he wants to do, take a shot, get the winner. And as long as it's not like a heavy favor, he has the potential to take the lead in this penultimate race, in race number 8 at Santa Anita. But we're going to take a quick time out. We're going to take a look at what's going to develop odds-wise in this 8th race, and we'll be back after this break. Bill Downs and Chris Larmey back here on the Players Championship webcast, day number 1 of a 2-day online contest on HorseTourneys.com. We've got 2 more races left at Santa Anita to complete the day 1 handicapping progress, and we have a leader, Russell Priola, jumping to the lead with that 12-1 long shot, that first-time starter in the last race at Santa Anita. And day money is certainly on the line, and some people certainly can make a claim to it, not just the top 2. And but this next race, Chris, is it's a good quality field, but it's short in terms of quantity with just a field of 6. And some of the contest players purposely did not want to play this race because it's a short field, while others want to play those last races and see what they can do. And Paul Sherman, of the top 3, he has a selection coming in both of these races. As you can see on the right side there, he has 2 of 15 remaining. There's only 2 races left, while Russell and Mark, even though they're ahead of him, they both only have 1 remaining. And I'm guessing both of those gentlemen are going to wait for the final race in this sequence. You would probably agree with me, Chris, right?
Yeah, and I think Paul's probably thinking this is his chance to make up some ground, right? So he probably really wants to cash in here. My guess is he'll probably go with whichever horse he thinks is the most likely to win, which isn't an easy question to answer in this field, right? It's pretty competitive, even though it's small.
Yeah, and we'll get to some of the contenders. Let's take a look at the odds, though, real quick. I was glancing at the will pays, and the favorites in the will pays and the doubles and pick 3s, which can be a very good indicator of what the eventual final odds are going to be. Howbeit is probably going to be the favorite when it's all said and done, even though it was a little bit of a scattered betting board when I also took a look at the win pool. But we got a field of 6. We got 13 minutes. Want to also mention, we've mentioned about the bonus if you win 2 of the 3 events in the Tourney Triple on HorseTourneys.com. And that those 3 events, the Locale Face-Off of the winner, the Players Championship going on right now, and then the Spawn Surf Showdown, which is going to take place on August 5th and 6th. If you win 2 of those 3 contests, not only are you going to get a 6-figure checks for winning that those particular contests, you're going to get a $1 million bonus. And you say, oh, come on, no one can do that. But David Wolf is in 16th place right now with $91.30, and he won the FloCal Face-Off this winter, and he has a great. He's in contention. He's not like sitting there in 116th. He's sitting in 16th place. He gets hot. He could be playing for life-changing money here come tomorrow.
Yeah, he could be making the insurance company cry wolf.
Yes, there you go. I like that. That's a good one. Also, there are points, and Paul or David Wolf has the most points going into the second leg. You get points with how you do at all three of these events. And the highest point total at the end of the three events after the Spawn Surf Showdown in early August, they can get themselves some nice prizes. The winner will get a Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge spot as well as qualify for the NHC. The second place finisher will get an NHC spot, and the third place finisher will get an entry into the big one at Horse Tourneys. That's a popular event. Lots of births and all sorts of contests come out of that one. At the big one it's usually in September, if my memory serves me correct. We'll see when that is scheduled once again. But as you can see, David Wolf, not only does he have the chance to get the $1 million bonus if he wins either the Players' Championship or the Spawn Surf Showdown, he has the most points, and it just goes down point by point. And you add them up at the end, and whoever has the highest points will get that spot in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge and NHC. But I guess we should start talking about this 8th race at Santa Anita as the horses are in the walking ring. And, the spread is from 5-2 to 8-1. So no strong favorites in this race. And what do you think in terms of Paul? He's just going to take whoever it's going to be, who he likes the most, and go for it and try and just get enough of win in place to pass the top three. Is that what you think the strategy is for Paul?
That would be my strategy, is to try to find the horse I think that could put me into the lead, especially knowing that I can't get blocked, that the two in front of me aren't going to be able to probably aren't going to make a play. But Paul, I know he would just go with the horse he thinks is going to win, even if it doesn't get him there. If it gets him closer, it gives him more options next time. So he'll go with whoever he thinks is the most likely winner, probably. So even if he likes the favorite, he'll go with that one.
Yeah, we're thinking that Russell in first, Mark in second, Clint in fourth. We only got one pick remaining. We're guessing that they're planning on playing the last race because that's the race that has got the big field. But what about, let's take a look at Michael in fifth at $117.60, Bruce in sixth, and Jeff in seventh, and even Dylan in eighth. They've got two picks remaining. And so what do you think they will do? Do you think they'll go? Do you go for the day money, or do you still just stay to your whatever your formula, whatever your philosophy is? Is the day money enough to maybe take you off of maybe one of the favorites and try and take a little bit of a price shot in this race?
It's tough to say. It depends on the individual, but I would think once you get past the top 4 or 5, they're probably just thinking longer term. And if they like a horse at 3-1 that's not going to get them the lead, they're just going to take it, move up the leaderboard, and play the next race. So I don't think it's going to come into their thinking that much. I think it's more at those top few that are really thinking that right now. Now, if they were to hit something in here, now they're in the top 2 or 3 in the next race, they might be thinking day money. But right now, I think there's not that big a spread in the odds in here. I think they're probably going to go with the horse they like the most, regardless of price. Although I do think the 3 will get bet down probably below 2-1. So he may be a little less tempting, but the rest, difference between 3-1 or 7-2 isn't that great, right? Now, maybe you go for the big price in the 1. But the problem with that horse is, anybody looking for a big price is probably going to go on that horse that's got to play this race. So it's probably not 9-1 in the contest. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. there's been a couple of big prices. There hasn't been like a whole bunch of long shots. And, taking a look at the earnings so far, Russell's done quite well, $130. But, it seems like it's manageable, especially going into the Saturday card where big fields abounding and a lot of races. Maybe not the biggest races on the day, but there's some really good big fields, interesting handicapping going on for tomorrow. So everyone should still feel like they've got a chance, even if they're down in the leaderboard. And I don't know about you, Chris, but playing in 2-day contests, going from, you might have a great day one, but that doesn't mean anything. Yes, you get to keep, in this type of contest, you get to keep your winnings, but just because you do great in day one doesn't mean you're going to do great in day two.
Yeah, usually it's somebody who puts together 2 good days or 1 tremendous day, and clearly we haven't had that today. So,
right.
Everybody, and with 15 chances tomorrow and a couple more today, 1 or 2 prices and you're right there. So, I mean, certainly you want to be higher up the leaderboard, but the scores are low enough where I think, everybody feels like they have a chance to cash tomorrow, and probably most everybody thinks, hey, if I can get hot early, who knows, I might be able to win it. So from that standpoint, that I think everybody's going to be encouraged going into day 2, even if they haven't had the best of days today.
Well, let's start talking about some of these horses. There's just a field of 6, and now down to 8 to 5 is a 3-horse How Be It for trader Mark Glattman, running in a couple of graded stakes races in his last couple starts. Not embarrassed, but off the board in both of them. Loves Santa Anita with 4 of his 7 wins on the dirt at Santa Anita. Usually likes to stalk the pace. He's in for the tag of $100,000. But, unless you're Paul, I guess, I don't know if he likes this horse or not, but I don't see too many contest players probably using this 3-horse How Be It, even though he's certainly got a shot based off a bit of a class drop.
Yeah, he's probably, unless they feel strongly. Again, I do think he's going to end up being more like 6 to 5 than even 8 to 5. So probably most people shy away from that. But, there's no big prices on here beyond the 1. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some 3s on the front page in this race for the people who have to make a play in this race. If they think he's going to win, then they'll take, the $6, $8 they might get on that.
The 4 Colt Fiction, 5 to 2 the line, 4 to 1 on the board, comes off of a very long layoff over a year now, in the barn of Phil D'Amato. Bill Spar, who retired, was the trainer of Colt Fiction, and D'Amato can do quite well with long layoff horses, and first time in the barn of D'Amato is also a decent angle, and can show some early speed. Is a versatile type of runner, but not getting a whole lot of early action in this race. What's your thoughts on the 4 Colt Fiction?
Well, he's kind of the wild card off the layoff in the new barn. He does sport a fast gate work prior to this, which is encouraging. He has shown speed in the past. He seems like the only horse that might be able to go out early with the 5. The 5 looks very dangerous on the front end right now. My guess is a lot of players will gravitate towards that horse because he's not the favorite, and he's probably lone speed. But the one horse that could ruin that narrative is, I think, the 4. If he's fresh and ready to roll, he might be able to put some pressure on the 5. If he doesn't, I think the 5 is definitely the one to beat on the front end.
Well, let's talk about the 5 Sunrise Journey. We tend to agree that he is the speed of the speed of just a field of 6, and Colt Fiction might press. But last time out, first off the claim, got to the lead, cleared off, and just ran away from the field on March the 12th, and a $50,000 claimer. Now is taking a big class hike. But if he gets to the front end, he could certainly do it again. He doesn't tend to run too many big races in a row, winning races, but he's run some couple decent races in a row. So even though he's coming off of a win last time out and taking on a bit tougher in here, Sunrise Journey's one that Chris likes, and I certainly could recommend as well. Others, Baffert's got one in here. The 2-horse Mastering. Been off the board in the 3 starts in 2022, first start in 2023. Last time out, I don't know what happened. He went on the shelf once again, but it was just a one other than allowance optional claiming race for where he was in for 40. Now he's in for 100 and taking on tougher. If it wasn't Baffert, I don't see how he'd be 9-2. I think he'd be more towards like 10-1. What were your thoughts on the 2 Mastering?
Well, at one time in his career, he really showed talent, and then, last year he just was terrible. But sometimes there's an injury or something, and the time off can do wonders. And Baffert certainly can get them ready off a layoff. So I don't know what to do with this horse. He could win, it wouldn't surprise me. He could run off the board, it wouldn't surprise me. The fact that he's 9-2 in this field, I wouldn't talk people out of playing him. Certainly has run races in the past that would fit, but you just don't know what to think of this horse. I actually think it's encouraging that he's in this race. If he was in like a cheap claimer, then I'd completely avoid him. But it seems like they haven't given up on him yet, and he has a fast recent work.
Yeah. The 6-horse Red Flag for John Sheriffs, I thought took a tiny bit of a step forward last time out. 3rd race off the layoff. Some people like that angle quite a bit. And, should be running on late. If Sunrise Journey gets a clear lead and runs away, that's one thing. But if there's any sort of early pace pressure, Red Flag, I thought, interesting, maybe at 6-1.
Probably for me not to win. He's just going to be so far back, and it doesn't seem to be a lot of speed in here. I just couldn't see him winning this race. He's probably the one I wouldn't play on the win end, but he certainly is the kind that could clunk up for 2nd or 3rd, maybe get some points that way. But for me on the win end, he's not the kind of horse I want to play in a 6-furlong sprint.
And then the price horse is the 1-horse Tigre de Sluggo, who will be very popular if people have got bullets and are down on the leaderboard on the 3rd or 4th page. He finished behind Red Flag last time out. Hasn't hit the board in his last 4, but been at this class level for a bit. 3rd race off the layoff for Tigre de Sluggo is, I think, how you pronounce it. I'm not sure how Frank Miramati will do it, but longest shot on the board at 16-1.
Yeah, he does have some excuses. I mean, like last race, he was down on the rail on a day I think that wasn't where he wanted to be. So okay. I give him an excuse there. And
all right.
He kind of got stuck behind a slow pace going wide before that. So I think he's a little better than his last few races. But, horses that come from out of it in a small field without much pace, and he probably deserves to be 10-1, but I can see a lot of people gravitating towards him just because of the price.
All right, loading up here. Not everyone's going to play this race, but we know Paul Sherman's going to play, and it's going to be interesting to see who he lands on in here. And as the last horse is going into line. This, the 8th race, the penultimate race on day 1 of the Players' Championship. Looks like they're all standing in line, and they are off. And the 4 didn't get off to the best start in the world. That puts the 5 Sunrise Journey on the front end on a clear lead.
Yeah, he's got exactly what the people playing him would want. Looks like we have to go all the way down to Dylan Donnelly for somebody on that horse. And Paul took the price horse. He took Tigre, who's actually sitting in second in a good spot. So that might turn out to be the play, although the 5 may be hard to catch. But, boy, the 1's making a run at him. So we'll see what happens here. But we got a few people on the 4. Doesn't look like anybody took the favorite near the top. So right now the 5's just kind of galloping. He hasn't been asked, but you never know when they turn for home what he's going to have left. But boy, he sure had the perfect trip. No excuses if you've got the 5.
And Red Flag, though, is making a nice run.
Oh, he is.
Outside,
he's making a run at him.
So, but
he's starting to flatten out a little bit. Looks
Yeah.
like the favorite's coming on, but it looks like it's, oh, here comes Tigro. That's big. If Paul can get that one up there in the second,
Yeah.
that'll be some important points for him. But yeah, that one on paper kind of looked like if Colt Fiction didn't go, Sunrise Journey was gone, and that's exactly how the race unfolded.
And Dylan Donnelly, only person in the top 10 that used Sunrise Journey. Couple people, Paul Sherman and Bruce D'Agostini, both use that one horse, and we'll get, even though it's a long shot, it's just a field of 6, and the 5 went off as a strong second choice. So it's going to be interesting. I think he might get there still, but it's going to be close.
He'll probably be in second, but not first. I'm guessing he's not going to get, $9 out of that horse.
Yeah. So we'll just have to wait and see. But Sunrise Journey, the second choice, 2 wins in a row, got the lead. I think the key to the race, Chrissy, I think you would agree that once Colt Fiction didn't break off the long layoff, the 5 was on a, for him, 22 and change is not that quick. And went all the way on the front end with Edwin Maldonado aboard.
Yeah, he popped the gate. He had like 5 lengths on the field in the blink of an eye. Even if Colt Fiction had broke, I don't know if he could have gone with him. He's the only one that looked like he might have a chance, but certainly when he didn't break, you knew the Sunrise Journey, if he was ready to run, he was going to win because he had, everything in his own way. He's the kind of horse you're dying to bet against next time. But in this race, he was clearly the one to beat, and it worked out that way.
Yep. And for once, everything that looked like it would happen on paper happened on the racetrack. And there is Sunrise Journey. And, the key is what we're looking for is what the one horse is going to pay to place. And there it is. He needs to get at least $9. If he does, he can go ahead. $13.
13. There he goes. Paul in the lead.
Paul pulling the right levers. He doesn't get the winner, but gets the second place horse. And Paul is now your leader with $134.56 in his column so far for day one. Russell Priola back in second, $130.32. Bruce is in third, $125.62. Mark is in fourth. Clint Littlejohn is in fifth. And then sixth, Michael. And then Dylan Donnelly in seventh. And but still, even though it's just day one, we got day money of about $10,000 for first on the line. And, of course, it's a big field, so it's going to be an important race, race number 9, which is the final contest race in day number 1 here in the Players' Championship on HorseTourneys.com. We're going to take our final timeout. Be back in just a few minutes, and we'll talk about the last race of the day here at Santa Anita. Final race of day number 1 of the Players Championship on HorseTourneys.com. The webcast on YouTube going on right now. Bill Downs and Chris Larmey. And we've got ourselves a pretty good last race of the day for day 1 Calbreds on the turf. 1 mile, one other than optional claiming race could be in for the tag of $20,000. And if you like what you're seeing today, make sure to join us tomorrow as well. We'll be on the air at about about 4:10 or so the Pacific time, and so 7:10 Eastern time, and we'll be covering the last 4 races at Santa Anita, which those races are the last 4 races in the contest. And then tomorrow, the players, same thing, just like today, they'll have 30 races to choose from. They've got to choose 15 races. They're all optional races, and we'll see how it all plays out. There's a lot of big cards tomorrow, so it looks like there'll be plenty of opportunities, even if you didn't do that great on day 1, coming back in at day number 2 and trying to rally, if you will. And we'll be on the air for the final 4 races starting at about 4:10 Pacific time and about 7:10 Eastern time. Leaderboard, Chris, we got Paul Sherman in the lead now. Got that second place placing with Tigre and overtook Russell Priola. and third is Bruce D'Agostini at $125.62. But certainly the uh, the the margin between first and second, not that much. So it's going to be interesting to see what Paul Sherman does, whether or not he chalks it up, which he did not do in the last race when he had every opportunity to use whoever he wanted to. But he went with that big price horse. And Paul's obviously no stranger to tournaments. He is one of the best all time in these horse racing tournaments, and he's currently got the lead in this race. But there's all sorts of strategy that you can use in this last race at Santa Anita. And you can, the favorite in the race is probably going to be the 9 horse Mamba Cool. Do you think Paul will go with Mamba Cool, who's so consistent, or do you think he potentially goes with just somebody else in a big field like this, Chris?
It's really hard to tell. This big field, pretty competitive. If it just kind of depends on his opinion of the runners. If he thinks Mamba Cool is the most likely winner, that price probably won't prevent him from playing it. But if there's another horse he likes better, I think he's going to go for whoever he thinks is the winner. And it's not like there's a 3 to 5 shot in here or anything. So, given the large field and lots of different options, he can't feel real safe if he doesn't pick the winner, because there's so many other horses that whoever comes in, there's a good chance somebody's going to pass him up. So
exactly,
he definitely wants to get that winner. Or we saw last time, it was interesting. The horse that ran second actually paid more to place than the winner did to win in place. So that's the other thing you could think about. If he's got a bigger price horse that he likes, and he thinks has a good chance to run first or second, he might go that way because that place money might be what it takes to win it, even if he doesn't win. So a lot of options. Really hard to predict what the players are going to do in a race like this.
Yes, and so there's day money, 10,361 for the first place finisher after day one, 6,379 for second, third place 3,189, and fourth gets 1,063. And of course, it's nice to hit the day money, but everyone's playing for the overall first place prize of $153,090. 243 entries in this Players Championship, and the gentleman who is not on the leaderboard, he's lurking though, is David Wolf. David won the FloCal Face-Off earlier in the year, and because he won that race, the next two contests, he is eligible for a $1 million bonus if he wins one of these final two contests on the HorseTourneys.com, part of the Tourney Triple. Right now, the Players Championship, and then on August 5th and 6th, the Spa and Surf Showdown. That's, of course, Saratoga and Del Mar. All the races from those two racetracks, those two boutique meets, if you will. And that will be the final contest, August 5th and 6th. And, David pulls it off. He'll get a $1 million bonus for winning one of those two final races in the series, the Tourney Triple on HorseTourneys.com. But let's take a look at what's going on. We've got about 10 minutes to race number 9. Got the call for riders up. And I guess we got to start it off with the ultra consistent, the 9 horse Mamba Cool for Phil D'Amato. And this one has been very consistent as of late, and just seems to give his all every single time. Goes from a sprint to a rout, third off the layoff. Hasn't won since March of last year, but certainly one that's going to be have something to say about the outcome, you would think.
Yeah, the big it seems like there's enough pace maybe to help. It tends to come from a little out of it.
Yep.
The post isn't great for a favorite. 9-hole in a turf race going a mile. That's always a little dicey to take a favorite. That's not a standout on numbers or anything, and that's not a win machine. So, I'd probably shy away from that one based on the price. And I think most of the contest players will do as well. The one exception might be, we talked about Paul. He could, if he really likes that horse, maybe go with it. But, I'd be surprised to see a lot of 9s on the leaderboard when we refresh it after it starts up.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many interesting long shots in this race. And we do have a couple scratches, so it's not as bad as a post for Mamba Cool, now post 7, if you will,
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's a
with a
good
couple of
point.
those scratches.
Yeah, that's a
And
good point.
that's even going to help the outside horses ever so slightly, not having to deal with as much traffic going into that first turn and losing as much ground. So we got a field of 10, still important post position, but it's not the just the end all be all handicapping angle in a race such as this. We mentioned there's some of the speed horses in here. The second choice, Talk Less, Work More, who won last time out at Santa Anita on the dirt, does have one win from 8 career starts on the turf. It's been on the front end and has been showing a little bit more stamina in his races in his last couple starts. It doesn't necessarily have to have the lead, but do you think the 6 Talk Less, Work More is a top contender? And do you think he'll make the front end, or do you think he'll stalk, or what? How do you see this race playing out on paper, Chris?
Well, I think he was helped by the scratches because a couple of the speed horses scratched out. There are some other speed horses outside of him.
Yep.
I'm just usually not too big on speed horses that aren't going to clear going from dirt to turf. The finish is so important in the turf racing. I'm usually kind of shy away from that type, but if he can clear early, he'll definitely be dangerous.
Yeah, and the other speed you mentioned the scratch of the 3, which was one of the probably speed horses coming in from Northern California. But Atomic Drop, the 4s, is the third choice right now at 6-1. Was in a sprint last time out, pressed the pace, made the lead to mid-stretch, and then faded. Back going a route of ground, though a mile seems to probably be the longest that he really wants to go. And he's probably the other primary speed horse, would you think, in this race with Talk Less, Work More?
Well, and the 8 horse going to be a bigger price, but he has quite a bit of speed. So those are the 3. And that's probably enough to keep it honest. And Atomic Drop, stretching out might help sometimes if they can go slower early. But if he does get pushed, again, I kind of like a horse that finishes. So 6-1 is not a bad price on that horse, actually. So I wouldn't talk anybody out of that one. Of the speed horses, that's probably the best. But I might look for something to come from a little bit farther back in this race.
Well, I'll give you a high-level transition. A contender in here that's getting a little bit of money that likes to come from off the pace is 7 Sunshine Babe, who finished 3rd at this level last time out. But she is a mare trying to beat the boys. What's your philosophy on that?
I don't really care. The thing that's good about that, she gets a 5-pound weight allowance, so that's good. She gets a good rider switch to DeSormo. That's good. So I think that horse is live in here. I thought it might be a little higher than 7-1.
Me too.
But that one makes a lot of sense, and that's a decent price. So I could see going with that horse in this race, and we might see a few of the players do that.
A contender in here, at least I think is a contender in here, is the 11 horse Short Man, who finished a fast closing 5th last time out in a turf sprint on March 18th. But I always thought he was a little bit better going a route of ground than sprinting. He won his debut going a sprint, but if you look back at his past performances, his last 3 big races, all coming at a mile, albeit one of those races, or 2 of those races coming at Los Alamitos on dirt, but was a fast closing 2nd at this class level back on February 10th. I thought Short Man was an interesting long shot at 9-1. What's your opinion?
Yeah, he's taking some money. Again, another horse I thought would be higher. Got helped by the scratches. The rider and the post are the big problem with that horse. Getting a trip from there is going to be difficult, but if somehow he can work a trip, yeah, he certainly fits, and he has a really fast workout, 45 and change. It's kind of unusual for a dirt route horse. I mean, a turf route horse. So, yeah, I kind of like that one. I'd like him more if he was a 20-1 morning line than at 10-1, but certainly in the contest, I could see that. Like I said, the trip is the big thing with him. Trips are so important in these turf routes, and his jockey's not the best. and the post is not the easiest. So that's the negatives for him.
One stall to the inside is the 10-horse Mischievous Path. The ultimate equipment change. So first start as a gelding for this son of Curlin to Mischief, now a 5-year-old. 0 for 5 on the Santa Anita turf, finished behind Shortman and Atomic Drop on February 10th. But first start as a gelding is the handicapping angle for this one, who wasn't that far off behind the others, but certainly has to improve, but you get the first time gelding angle.
Yeah, and the horse doesn't have to improve that much, and
Yep.
he's one that should be finishing. Again, got a tough post and not the best rider, so I think trips will be important. But if either the 10 or the 11 could work a trip from that post, they could get the job done. It's just that's a big if, in a turf route.
A horse that gets all sorts of trouble, seems like every single time, the 2-horse Worse Reed Sanchez, a son of Square Eddie. Worse Reed Sanchez. You just take a look at the comment line if you have the past performances. Off slow, bump start, pull early, off slow, tight, lacked room, second turn, boxed in, second turn, step slow. It just goes on and on and on. Just Mr. Troubleline was the comment I had for the 2 Worse Reed Sanchez, who likes to come from far back usually in his races.
Yeah, and he might get a setup in here. Again, it's all about trips, but at least he'll be able to save ground early.
Yep.
And if they stretch it out a little bit with the early speed, I kind of like this horse. I think for me, at 10-1, he's more likely to get the job done than some of these others that are at a similar price. So, I'd kind of lean towards that as maybe the play in here from a contest perspective, and maybe the horse you might want to bet.
Okay. Any of the others that we haven't mentioned? We haven't mentioned the one Orth or outside the 12 Club Cal, who's got the real outside post, which I know is not a positive angle for you. Any of the others that we have not mentioned that you could maybe make a case for?
Well, that Club Cal is the weird one. He's
Okay.
I'm not sure what he's like as a turf route horse, but he's run some big numbers sprinting on the dirt. So if he does take to routing on the turf, he might be the surprise package in there at 25-1, because I just not quite sure what he's capable of and on this trip. So he's a speculative, but at least you're getting the big price on that one, and I could see that he's not impossible. So
okay. Horses coming to the gate for the 9th race, which is the final race of day number 1 of the Players Championship on HorseTourneys.com. This webcast on YouTube. We'll be back here tomorrow at about 4:10 local time, 7:10 Eastern time. For those of you who want to play along, we'll be on for the final 4 races from Santa Anita and cover it just like we did the final 3 races today. The players will be also choosing from races 5 through 11 from Keeneland, races 8 through 11 from Gulfstream, and Aqueduct races 5 through 11. And then all 12 races from Santa Anita are part of the 30 eligible races that the contest players can choose. They choose 15 on day 1 and 15 on day 2. Whoever has the most money at the end of the 2 days gets the $153,000, $61,000 for second, $30,000 for third, $22,000 for fourth, $19,000 for fifth, $17,000 for sixth, or $15,000 for seventh, as it goes all the way down to the top 20. 20th will get $2,000. Last race of the contest, last horse going in. It's going to be interesting to see who chooses what, and they're off here in the last race at Santa Anita. And decent start, one dropped into the back there. I think that is the 11 Shortman. But let's see what everyone chose here. And Paul chose the first time gelding, the 10-horse Mischievous Path. Russell took Chris's pick, I think, Worst Reed Sanchez, and then Bruce also chose the 10 Mischievous Path. But it's the 4-horse Atomic Drop who's on the front end, and no one used that one. He got some late money, 4-1, and the 6 is pressing on the outside second.
Yeah, it's kind of setting up like we thought. The only surprise to me is the 8 horse. They weren't riding a little more aggressively, but the 3 horses you thought would be near the front are there. And Atomic Drop did manage to kind of get a clear early lead, so he could be tough to run down here late. I'm trying to see some early fractions, but I haven't seen him post anything yet. I don't know why they're not showing the fractions, but it looks like we're not going to get any. So we'll have to just guess that it does look like the 4 is pretty strong right now, but we'll wait and see. Someone's making a big move there on the outside. I haven't been able to pick up the number.
Well, the 1's in third now in that green, but it looks like it's all the 4. Atomic Drop past the final furlong marker. The 12, is that on the outside, making a little bit of rally?
Yeah, that's that wild card horse I was talking about, the Bomber. He did end up making a pretty good run of it, but Atomic Drop, nobody had Atomic Drop until you get down to 21st place. Did anybody pick the 12?
I didn't see anyone picking
Not
the 12.
A single person on the first page. So kind of a thud there in terms of the impact on the leaderboard. It's zilch. So Paul Sherman is going to walk away $10,000 richer.
Yep. And look at that. He didn't even have to hit something, but when you got the lead, anything. Sometimes it works out to your favor. And the 4 Atomic Drop goes gate to wire in front, and third race off the layoff, was second at this level a couple starts ago at the same distance as well. Got some late money on top of it, and went off at 4-1 for trainer Phil D'Amato. But in terms of the drama, if you will, I guess if we're looking for drama, we really want it at the last race on day 2, but nothing too much there. Even though Club Cal should be a cap horse for second at least.
Probably 40-1.
You probably should get the full 22 for second, as there's price limits. You just can't pick a 99-1 shot and get the full credit for it. There's limits for win and place prices, 42 and 22, which is usually the standard if you're going to use a cap prices, but Club Cal should probably get that. I'm sure some people on the second page of the leaderboard.
Oh yeah.
There's John
Hurd. A lot of 12s I would guess farther down.
Yeah, second page of the leaderboard, Jay Johns, who had $56, used them. Also on the second page of the leaderboard, John Hurd, who had $52 going in, used Club Cal. So they'll be able to move up the leaderboard a bit, but no one's going to make a dent on Paul Sherman, who is. It's always nice to know you got the $10,000 in the bank, if you will, and as well as got the lead going into day 2, and you can fire away and try and pick up that first place check of $153,090 for the leader at the end of day number 2. 243 entries in the Players Championship this year, and top 20 will after day 2 will get paid. And day money, day 1, day 2, the same thing. 10,000 for first, about 6,400 for second, about 3,200 for third, and just over 1,000 for fourth for the day money for days 1 and 2. But just waiting for it to be official, and then just kind of update the leaderboard, even though there's not going to be much of a change at the top. And then we'll, I guess we'll call it quits. But tomorrow, Chris, I'm sure you've done. Are you one that does handicapping days ahead of time, or are you going to do it tonight or tomorrow morning? What's your philosophy?
Well, because I do podcasts and we go over races, I'm kind of forced to do it in advance. So fantastic cards at Santa Anita and at Keeneland and at Aqueduct, especially Keeneland.
Right.
Just great racing. I mean, it's almost an embarrassment of riches. There's so many good races that I'm sure the players are going to have a hard time deciding which ones they want to play, because lots of full competitive fields. And plenty of opportunities to make a big move. So nobody's out of it at this point for sure.
Yes, and so it's more difficult. So I assume we've updated the leaderboard with this final race. I know there's. Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
And yeah, as we told you, Paul is the winner. It's just difficult because normally you can kind of tell that it was updated because somebody in the
would move.
You know,
Yeah.
There's Scotty. Scotty moved up into 11th. Scotty.
Scott McKeever. Yeah.
Mr. Pick Six got that handicapping program that he's a part of as well. And
the Equine Edge. We'll give him a plug since he hit there. Scotty. He's definitely going to be a contender if he can keep that up. I was laughing because the place price on the 12 was $50. The cap really came in. If that wasn't capped, somebody could have made a major move off that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I think that's going to do it, Chris. Day one is in the books. Paul Sherman's got the lead and the $10,000, but I don't think anyone's going to be going home too frustrated.
No.
Because just because you do well on day one doesn't mean you're going to do well on day two. I've played in contests where I've done great at day one and just fell off the face of the earth on day two, and then the other way around. But usually it takes some consistency to take home the top prize, and we'll see who's going to get there tomorrow with all those great races.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, $130 at the top after the first day, that's not intimidating. I mean, you can easily get, not easily, but if you have a good day tomorrow, you could get 200 plus points just on the day. So nobody's out of it right now.
All right. Well, I think that will do it for day one. Once again, join us for day two. We'll be on the air at 4:10 Pacific time and about 7:10 Eastern time. And we'll cover the last four races from Santa Anita, and we'll crown a Players Championship champion, if you will. So for
maybe
Chris
$1 million bonus, baby.
Yes, we'll see. We'll see how David Wolf does in the early hours in day two, and maybe we'll get some high drama as we go into the final four races. So that's going to do it for Chris Larmey. This is Bill Downs. Join us tomorrow for day two of the Players Championship on HorseTourneys.com with the YouTube webcast.